It's finally here. Welcome to Red Friday of Week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. Everything you need to know. We're going to run down injuries, what the prime matchup is, the road to victory, as well as all of our predictions today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome to Red Friday, everybody. We are here. We're brought to you by BetOnline. It's got you covered this season for everything from the props, the odds, the lines, everything that you need to get in the game. It's BetOnline where the game starts, and we have a lot to go over for this first matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. Thanks for making us your first listen as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. There's plenty of others. You might want to check out the Cardinals show. You never know. But thanks for that. We are free on every platform, and we appreciate it. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics, NFL 33, and RGR Football.
And I'm Chris Clark, founder of Chiefs Corner. You can go find me over there. There's a lot to talk about. And if you missed it yesterday, we had a crossover episode with Alex Clancy of Locked On Cardinals. Be sure to check that out. Interesting predictions at the end of that show.
Always interesting with Clance. Okay. We are going to get into our
I can't believe
predictions
we're
later in
here.
the show.
Like that's the thing. Like I just can't believe we're here.
I know it is nice, from the end of last season to get all the way through to this point and finally be on the precipice of actual ball again. I think we're all pretty happy. I know I am, and I hope that you guys are as well. So check out the crossover. Definitely interesting. We got to start though, because it's not very clear what the heck is going on. And the Chiefs here are in a very good position compared to the Arizona Cardinals. We'll talk about them in a second. But this is bothersome to me. And I'm not going to let it go. I'm not going to sit on it anymore. He missed the first day of practice of training camp with a mysterious illness. And now Frank Clark misses another day of practice, now in week 1, with a quote-unquote mysterious illness. I've had enough. I don't know what it is, but it's all leading towards another year where we don't know if we can count on production from Frank Clark.
Well, I don't think you can count on production for Frank Clark at this point. I think that's probably just the way it's going to be. And it goes past just the mysterious illness issue. It was also he missed practice the week before because it sounds like he was probably in California getting his charges pleaded down and doing that deal. So he's got a year of probation and he won't get in trouble and won't miss time. But, you look at this situation, you look at what it has gone over with Frank Clark since he came to Kansas City. This is a huge problem, and he continuously misses practice with illnesses. And you have to wonder what's going on and if it's something that this team is going to be able to get past, because pass rush production is going to be such a huge key to this defense's success.
It definitely is. It's going to be part of the keys to get on the road, get going down the road to victory. We'll talk about that coming up here in a little bit. But luckily for the Chiefs, that's about the extent of the injuries. And there's little things here and there, but everybody practiced fully except for Frank. Andy seems very positive about it all. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. That includes Juju Smith-Schuster. I can't say his name fast. I have to learn that about myself.
Just say Juju. Let's just go with Juju. It's the same as going with the MVS because, it's hard.
But I have to say, after back-to-back days of full participation in practice, and that is how he is officially listed, I feel like Juju's ready to go. So we can kind of scratch that off the list, right? On the other side, it is not so pretty. Rodney Hudson has missed time either for rest or a DNP at Wednesday's practice. He wasn't even listed on Thursday. Trayvon Mullen, who they just traded for from the Raiders, who was supposed to come in and help them fix their corner unit, he hasn't practiced with, I believe it's turf toe. J.J. Watt has been out with his calf. That's an ongoing saga. And now, after practicing very light on Wednesday, Zach Ertz, their starting tight end, is now missing in action. Not to mention Rondale Moore that's been light. There's a lot of missing talent here, and I hadn't even mentioned the biggest one yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of injury issues that the Cardinals are going to have to deal with, and really curious to how that affects their game plan. J.J. Watt not being in this game plan actually makes this a lot easier for Kansas City, obviously. I'm not going to say it's the same magnitude as DeAndre Hopkins missing this game, but J.J. Watt's still a formidable force. And with a guy like Andrew Wiley that he would be going up against, that would be something that's you'd probably not like that matchup, and you'd probably be wanting to shade that way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it comes down to who's he going to throw the ball to. Trey McBride, their backup tight end, is rookie. Max Williams is there. You still have some other options. Marquise Brown is new to this roster. AJ Green is here. Andy Isabella is there. I mean, this is not the marquee talent with Nuke Hopkins and JJ Watt both out. That's really telling. It's difficult to predict, but this is setting up to be a thing where the Chiefs have to take advantage of that. If we see a Chiefs team come out and play a middling kind of game plan, not put any pressure on somebody's throat and win the game by 3 points, it's not indicative of what this has to be. In my opinion, you have to go after this team when they have missing talent. And it comes down at the end of the day to supporting either Kyler Murray, if you're a Cardinals fan, or supporting Patrick Mahomes. And that does include the defense. We're going to talk about them in the next segment for sure, but it comes down to the two quarterbacks, as it does almost every week. But in particular, this one's very, I think, high profile because one guy has a full complement of brand new targets. Another guy is missing most of his targets. And in the end of the day, nothing against James Conner and Darrell Williams, but running the ball in Arizona, I don't think is going to be functional. It comes down to moving the ball with Kyler, and that's going to be something they have to focus on. We're going to get into all of that, unless you disagree with me right this second.
As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach out to your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 180 million people. Then add your job in the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rated LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
It is week one. It's step one. It's turning on the engine, putting the keys in the ignition, and getting on the road to victory. That's what we're going to call this second segment today, because it is touchy. It is feeling out what you have new on both sides of the ball for this Chiefs team. Do you want to go first? What's your primary thing that is the next step forward towards a win in week one?
Cohesion on the offense. And I say that because Mahomes didn't really play with MVS and Juju on the field at the same time. You had Travis Kelce, you had Jody Fortson, you had Mecole Hardman, you had those guys, Skyy Moore, but you did not have your top two wide receivers on the field together. So how's that unit going to work together? How's the offense going to work together? I'm not worried about the offensive line, but just getting to having chemistry with the wide receivers and having a cohesion as a unit with your skilled position players and your QB is going to be very, very important. Not necessarily for this game, because I think Kansas City can handle it regardless, but they have to be ready for week 2.
Yeah, there's no way around it. And of course, we'll kind of drift to our own things. And mine's going to be very similar on the defensive side of the ball. There's going to be a lot of new talent. You have to play as a unit. But in particular front for me, you have to, especially now with Frank missing in practice. Carlos Dunlap is still kind of nursing that Achilles. Don't know what kind of snaps count we're looking at. They did on the depth chart put Mike Dana as the starter opposite Frank. Now, both those guys are out. You're talking about starting Mike Dana and George Karlaftis. That's all well and good.
As Malik Herring and Josh Kando, yeah.
Right. I mean, and that's all well and good. But I talked about this earlier in the week, and I still am going to back it up, especially if that is the case. If Frank has to miss this game and Carlos isn't 100%, you have to be creative right out of the bat. Normally, I would say Spags needs to tone it down and not get exotic with blitzes until later in the season. But you have to support that pass rush. No matter what, you have to get to Kyler Murray, because he doesn't have time, I don't think, to run around. because I don't think this group of receivers is going to be able to get open. So I want them to add on to the pass rush. I want them to bring a fifth pass rusher, and I think it needs to be a linebacker. I think it needs to be Leo. I think you need to get him on the field right now. Leo Chanel is listed as the starting Sam. They're not going to be in base enough to really do that, but you got to get him on the field so he can add, and most importantly, keep Chris Jones from getting doubled every single play if Frank Clark isn't out there.
Yeah, and the other side of it, really quick though, is also you need to make sure that you have contain as a defensive unit. You have to contain Murray. You cannot let him get outside the pocket. One of the biggest things that I talked about in the crossover episode is if they can keep Murray to under 30 or 40 yards rushing, they handily win this game. I think they can win. Well, we'll talk about predictions later, but I think they'll be fine in this game regardless. But you don't want to let him get to 100 yards rushing or anywhere near 100 yards rushing, because that means that he's moving the sticks and he's keeping drives open. And that's not what you want as a defense. And this defense played really well, but Murray is the type of QB that is going to give you a little bit of a harder time because he is so mobile and he can get outside the pocket and run. So you have to stay in your lanes. You have to contain. That's huge for this game. You know, if I flip it back over to the other side on the offensive side, I said I'm not worried about the offensive line, and I'm not. But I also want to see them come out and really do well against this Arizona front, because it's not the Arizona front it used to be. Mm-hmm. They need to go show that they can, and I'm not expecting them to necessarily dominate, but they need to go out and show that they can handle their business and keep Mahomes upright and not let him get hit on a regular basis and open up some holes for the running game.
Yeah, I'm with you. You're right. It's not the front that it is, especially if JJ's not able to go.
Well, Chandler Jones is gone. I mean, that's the other side of it.
There's a ton of it. And when you look, they are moving to a 3-4 as well. So the roles are different. And for you guys who remember the draft season, remember when I was talking up Myjai Sanders and Cam Thomas? Well, they're both now edge rushers standing up, which is a little bit weird, although Cam is going to be very comfortable in a 3-point for this Arizona defense. The really interesting thing is they moved their best player to the mic. And that is my last point on this road, is you have to attack Isaiah Simmons. Most people are going to say he's too good. You don't want to go at him. He's in a new position. He's playing that star for them. So he's going to be lined up as an inside linebacker in the 3-4 at times. He's going to be playing safety at times. He's going to drop down into the nickel at times. If they're smart, they're going to try to put him on Travis Kelce and give him help over the top, because he's got the athleticism to stay with Travis and not get shook loose. And that's fine. So you run downhill at him. This is a very, very, I think, susceptible defense right now, especially because they're kind of in their infancy of coming together in this new system. For me, that means you attack their best player. And especially when he's out of position and he's trying to play the green dot and he's trying to be an actual linebacker, I don't think I buy it. You know, he is an excellent athlete. He's the second best athlete in his position in his draft. The guy that was number one is Willie Gay. So you're going to use that, I think, to your advantage. And that's what I think that they have to do in order to keep the offense purring. And it doesn't matter whether it's run or it's pass or it's RPO, whatever it is. Balance will come to the fore someday. But I think it has to go at Isaiah Simmons.
That's going to be fun to watch. I mean, they attack their best player and they're successful. That's the bigger thing. If they're successful attacking their best player, that's going to bode well for this offense.
Well, and if they are, it means that Ben Neiman's going to come into the game, and I think the Chiefs know how to handle him. I'm just saying. I could be wrong.
Which is just a little bit of a side great deal for you.
And if that is going to get to it, then I'm betting on the over for the Chiefs points. If I was going to do that, I'd do it at BetOnline. It is the number one source for all of your pro and college betting needs for any sport this season, not just football, but of course football. You can find all of the latest league developments, the game matchups, pods, all the news, everything that's happening in this year's opening games are right now. BetOnline is also your continued source for all the sporting wagering information and all the live betting and esports and all that stuff that you need. Fastest and easiest way to check in on all your sports right now, all the way down to this other stuff that's going on like disc golf and the craziness. Head over to the website today. It's super easy to get to and get into the action. Get yourself out there on the line at BetOnline, where the game starts.
Out on the line.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. We're going to get into predictions, but it's going to be a little iffy. So we're going to start at the end of the day. When you look at this ball game, and folks, we will be live post game. We are doing Monday's show live after the Sunday games this year. So be here with us on YouTube. You will see it there, and then you'll hear the audio very shortly after that. But in that session, Who are we going to be talking about? Who is going to be your player of the game?
This is going to sound really cheap, but I'm going to have to go Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
and I know that's an easy out, but I will say this is the reason why. And it comes down to really one thing for me. Everybody has been questioning whether or not he is the reason that Kansas City's been so good this offseason because Tyreek Hill is gone. Everybody is freaking out because Tyreek Hill is gone. He's now, according to his peers, the 8th best player in the NFL. I guarantee you he took that personally, regardless of whether or not he should. And people say that list is a joke. He took it personally, and he's going to use it as motivation. I see this as a game that he's going to want to go off, especially considering he's going to be playing against his old college coach.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm with you. I'm going to take the opposite approach because I do think that, especially the Simmons matchup we talked about with Travis Kelce, I think that's going to be pretty key. They got Budda Baker out there. They got Byron Murphy. There's some good players in the secondary. I think what's going to sneak up on them is as good as MVS, and I think Juju are going to get off to a decent start and probably have 6 to 8 targets apiece, and I think they're going to catch most of them. I think the guy we're going to be talking about post-game is Jody Fortson because I think he's going to have the other matchup that nobody's paying enough attention to. And if he gets matched up with Budda Baker, he wins that jump ball every single time. And that's what's going to happen. He's the guy that I'm ready to watch, and I think we're going to be talking about after the game. So,
yeah, and that'll be a lot of fun to talk about because you and I have been talking about Jody Fortson for the past 2 years. Actually, longer than that, ever since he came on the podcast, and that's probably 4 years ago. So, yeah, there you go.
Some details. I want your opinion. We got a couple of minutes before we have to wrap up with our actual game predictions. Does Willie Gay get off to a good start? Does he get an interception in this ballgame?
I would say he does not get an interception in this ballgame. I do think he gets off to a good start. I think he plays well, and I think that he has a couple of tackles behind the line of scrimmage and maybe some PBUs. But I don't think he gets an interception in this game.
See, this is where I miss Matt Berry on the fantasy show. Like, put it on the board. That's what I'm about to say because I think he gets one. I think Kyler's got to scramble. I think he's going to put something up in peril, and I think Willie's going to get his first one to get off to a good start. We'll see if he can get there to like 5 or whatever he predicted, but I'm liking it. So, offensively, what do you think happens? What's the one thing you want to know?
One thing I want to know is what is Skyy Moore's role going to be in this offense? We have an idea about what Juju is going to do. We have an idea about what MVS is going to do. And MVS, and we need to say this again and again, I think his role is going to be so much different than what it was in Green Bay. He's going to be asked to do more. He's going to be given the opportunity to do more, and I think that's what Kansas City wants from him and expects from him. He's not going to be just the deep threat guy. So, and I think that actually works in Kansas City's favor. But I want to see what Skyy Moore is used to do in this game. I want to see what they bring out and they put on tape for the Chargers. And I know we're talking about this Cardinals game, but the reality is this is Andy Reid's also. This is almost like another preseason game in a way to show your hand to your biggest opponent that you're going to have for the next couple of weeks in the Chargers.
You want to scare him? Put Mike Burton on a wheel route. It worked a couple of years ago. It'll scare the pants out of him. I'm just telling you. But I'm also going to say Skyy Moore. I'm guessing 3 catches on 4 targets for 50 yards. And I'll be blatantly happy with that. So that boils it down. What do you think? What is your game prediction?
I went with this. I went 31-17 yesterday on the crossover. I still think that Kansas City's defense is better than people are going to give it credit for. And it may not happen this week. It may end up being a couple of weeks down the road. I don't think if they get off to a slow start in this game, I don't think it's going to be a good game next week against the Chargers on a short week. But I do think Kansas City wins, and I'm starting to think that really this offense has more of a chance, especially if they get a turnover on the defensive side. I think it could be even more lopsided, like 34-17 or 34-13. I know that the Arizona does have some weapons of some sort. I mean, they're not great, but if Zach Ertz doesn't play, that takes away one of their most experienced weapons. And yes, Hollywood Brown played with Kyler Murray in Oklahoma, but he wasn't productive in Baltimore. This is a different offense. It's a different level of player. The question is, can he come into yes, this is going to be more of a passing offense. Can he come into an NFL offense and actually run it and be successful? He wasn't successful in Baltimore. And yes, that was a running deep offense. So I get that thought process. Mm-hmm. But he's also going up against NFL competition versus what he was going up against in college, where he was so successful before.
I'm with you. I am a little bit pessimistic about the offensive output by both of these teams in this first week. I think Andy's going to be a little reluctant to, do anything that is anywhere close to fancy. You might see a little pitch pass to Skyy. That's about the only thing that I can come up with that seems like it would make sense. So I actually have this as a Chiefs victory, but at 28-21, with the Cardinals scoring a touchdown late to get to 21, I think it's a two-score game for probably most of the second and third period. What happens then will be a question.
I agree. And the question is it going to be a two-score game at halftime, or is it going to be more? That's the thing that we don't know about this Kansas City team is sometimes they can come out and they can just absolutely blow the handles or blow the doors off the barn and score a lot of points. Is that something they're going to do week one? Maybe, maybe not. Against this Arizona team, I wouldn't be shocked if they do, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they don't. So really curious to see how it plays out. I mean, they scored 33 points against the Browns last year in the home opener.
Yeah.
So
they got off to a hot start last year. It could be the ultimate hot start here in Arizona this year.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. And if you guys want the ultimate preview to this 2022 season, an 8-episode extravaganza that we have ready for you on the entire NFL, all kinds of stuff from our group here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure you check it out. Search for the Ultimate Pro Football Preview on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. We're hoping that you guys will let us know your predictions here on YouTube. Put it in the comments, in the iTunes and Spotify reviews, or just hit us at Locked On Chiefs on Twitter. We want to know your thoughts. We will be here post-game. Make sure you look for that. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and get subbed over there on the audio platforms. Thank you for all of your time. Enjoy your Red Friday. Game number 1 coming at you. We'll have a good one, and we'll talk to you post-game.